Hey everyone. So in this video, I'm going to share one thing that I would do completely differently if I could go back in time and start my personal growth journey from scratch and that I wanted to grow 10 times faster. So it's basically a mistake that I've made over the last 4 years that I have realized recently. And so I want to share that with you so you can avoid making that mistake as well. And towards the end of the video, I'm also going to share this super powerful reframe that completely transformed my life or the way that I approach my own personal growth. And so I'll be sharing that with you too. But how this came along is because recently I was reflecting on the last 4 or 5 years of my personal growth journey. And to be honest, like I'm pretty happy with like how far I come. And I think 6 years ago I had zero belief in myself. I had very low self-confidence, and now since then I've built my own coaching business. I've overcome many of my fears around public speaking. I've created like a super engaging community that I love, and I've also left the comfort of living in Europe, and now I'm traveling the world and currently in Lanzarote. And so yeah, so looking back, I'm pretty very happy with everything that I've achieved. But I had this realization recently, which made me see that if I had applied what I'm going to show you in a bit or tell you about in a bit, I could have I could genuinely have 10x'd how fast I had grown. And again, if I had to go back, well, first of all, I wouldn't go back because I needed to learn this lesson, and I wouldn't have learned this lesson if I hadn't experienced it. But I'm hoping that if I share this with you now, hopefully you'll be able to understand it, and it will land in a way that will allow you to avoid this mistake and hopefully experience that 10x growth that I'm talking about. So let me get straight to the point. And so the biggest mistake that I made was focusing way too much on the outcome and not on the person that I was becoming. And so, if I had to start again, this is what I drill in my brain. Like it's not about the outcome. It's not about the top of the mountain. It's not about the destination. It's really about who you become along the way. So, for example, if I'll just use a practical example of me speaking in front of camera. So, I'm very happy that I've started a YouTube channel, but for me, the outcome was always creating this amazing, super cool video that looks really cool, that is, has loads of engagement and that goes viral. And so, that was kind of the goal because I was focusing on the outcome. But the real goal was the real goal about getting good on YouTube or filming YouTube videos is actually the person that you become along the way. So it's the the skills that you learn when it comes to conveying ideas, when it comes to just speaking in stressful situations, speaking off the cuff. And because I was focusing so much on the end result and getting the great video out, well, I skipped a lot of the reps that are needed to actually get good at that. So I would use a teleprompter, or I would learn the script completely off by heart, or I would just edit my videos heavily, which was great because I guess it allowed me to get started, but I missed out on the growth that would have come from me just starting to speak in front of a camera and be okay with the failing, be okay with the uncomfortableness of, I guess, exactly what I'm doing right now. It's it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be very well polished. But then at least now I'm getting the reps in. I'm putting in the reps in, and I'm actually growing as a public speaker. Um, and so that's really the idea behind this, is that if you focus too much on the outcome, well, you miss out on all the growth that comes from doing the reps. Because if I had started 4 years ago speaking in front of a camera every day, well, right now I would be so much better at it. I would be a much better public speaker. And so, if you're thinking of entering this personal growth journey, if you want to, for example, let's say start posting on LinkedIn or creating your own podcast, well, your focus shouldn't be on going viral or having the most amazing podcast. Your focus should be on the person that you're becoming along the way. So it's on putting in the reps. So for example, on LinkedIn, it might be just learning how to write, like getting get like yeah, understanding how you like to write, or understanding your voice and the style that you want to use. Like it's not about having this amazingly polished post. Yeah. And this can be very, very uncomfortable because you have to face the fear, you have to face the fear of rejection. But if the goal is the person you're becoming and not the outcome, well then the aim is simply to show up. The aim is simply to do the reps. And so shifting the focus on or shifting the focus from the outcome and the end goal that you're looking for, and shifting that to the person that you're becoming and the growth that you are experiencing from putting in the reps, well, then you're going to grow like 10 times faster. And I've seen this with other people around me on social media or on LinkedIn, for example, where maybe at the beginning their content wasn't that good, but because they were putting in the reps and actually being vulnerable and yeah, posting videos of themselves, well now, like a couple of years after that, they have just completely overtaken me in terms of their following, in terms of how their business has grown. And so, I know this is easier said than done, but if I had to go and start all over again, and I said I wouldn't, this is what I do, and this I know would allow me to 10x my growth. I'm also going to share this powerful reframe with you, because this is something that's really helped me with this, and that can help you maybe approach or look at the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and all of those fears in a different manner. The concept is called infinite versus finite games. And before I get into, what both of those are, I'm just gonna share a story, something I experienced recently, and it was while speaking to my younger cousin. So I have a cousin who's 15 years younger than me, and growing up, all he did was play video games, and so he spent his whole time playing video games. And my dad, his uncle, was often criticizing it and saying like, oh, what a waste of time, they're wasting their life, etc. And when he turned, I think like 17, 18, and he was at uni, he got a side job, which was in sales. And very quickly, he became one of the top salesmen in his company. And even after that, he joined another company, became top salesman there. And now he's probably one of the best cold callers that's out there, at least in Denmark where he lives. And so I was speaking to him a year ago, and I asked him like, how did you get so good at sales? And he said, well, it's simply because I approached it like a video game. So every time that like I failed, or every time that I got rejected, it was like I was respawning in a game. And I was so used to just failing, losing at video games and starting again, that I just applied that strategy to sales, and I became extremely good at it. And so if we go back to the two concepts I was talking about, which are infinite versus finite games. And so if we start with a finite game is a game where there's a clear set of rules. So there's a beginning, there's an end, there's a set amount of players, there is a winner and a loser. So for example, football, or for example, tennis. But then an infinite game is a game where there is no end, there is no winning or losing. The aim of the game is simply to keep playing. So a bit like certain video games where the aim is just to keep leveling up. And many of us approach life, approach relationships, approach personal growth as a finite game. So like as if you could win or you could lose. And so, for example, if when it comes to, let's say, building a business or becoming comfortable speaking in front of a camera, if you see it as a finite game, well, every time you suck, every time you fail, every time you get rejected, it's like you're losing the game because you're trying to play a finite game. And but if you apply the rules of the infinite game to personal growth, well then you notice that the aim of the game isn't to win, isn't to not lose. The aim of the game is simply to keep playing, it's simply to keep showing up. And every time you fail, every time you're rejected, it's just like you're just essentially respawning. And when you change your perspective on your personal growth journey, on even life or relationships in general, like life isn't apart from the fact that we're all going to die, it isn't a finite game. There isn't necessarily winners or losers. It's just about continuing to keep playing. And if you if the aim of the game that you're playing is to keep playing, well then as long as you don't quit, you can't lose. And so this reframe completely changed, how I see things, how I approach anything in life, or in my business or in my personal growth, because now I'm just focusing on showing up, doing the reps, just respawning again and again. And I trust that if I keep doing this, well, like the growth that I'm going to experience is going to be 10x. So I really hope that you found this video useful. Um, as always, I'll leave a link in the comment if you would like to take the free self-confidence test that I have. It's a way for you to assess where you're currently at, so that you can actually know where you're starting from, and also I give loads of amazing tips for you to improve your mindset, and also for you to grow a lot faster. So I'll link that below. But anyways, thank you so much if you watched this far. I really, really appreciate you, and wishing you an amazing, wonderful day. And don't forget to do the reps. Much love.